This is MJ. I'm an author, I'm an artist, I'm an analyzer. Find all my work at mjmunoz.com. Visit the podcast page for show notes and links. And remember to like, share, and comment to help me grow. This is Going Ultra, episode 40. Take this! I'm analyzing Ultraman Z, episode 25, which originally aired December 19th, 2020. The title of the episode is Warriors Shining Beyond. The writer is credited as Kota Fukihara, and the director is Kiyotaki Taguchi. So, I discovered something at the end of this episode that I did not know, and is quite moving and quite classy, and I gotta say, good job Toei, no, not Toei, good job Tsuburaya running a classy production. I don't think Ultraman's actually underrated. I just think I've been so ignorant of Ultraman over the years that the more I get to know about it, the company, the organization, the group, the more I appreciate it, and the better of a group I think they are. And for a little bit of context to drag this down into real life, it's I think the third episode of Trigger's out already, and there was this recent sci-fi award that Ultraman Z actually was awarded in Japan. I don't know if it's just TV shows or if it's across all media or what, but Ultraman Z did receive this award, and it's a big deal. I guess it's analogous to a Hugo Award. I don't know what Hugos are given for. I thought they were for books, but I could be wrong. It might just be, speculative fiction in general. I don't know. Anyway, but there you go. So just to add a little timestamp in here to make it a little more relevant in the time, and I'll just spill it now. I didn't realize, I knew about it at the time, but it didn't really connect to me because I didn't know anything about the series, that Kota Fukihara actually had died before he had a brain aneurysm, which is terrible, at the age of 37. He died before the airing of Ultraman Z, and I kind of double-checked. He wasn't credited for writing all the episodes. I thought, maybe in tribute to him, they credited him with writing all the episodes, but he was, going to be the head writer for Z, and I don't know how long he had to write before the show was going to be made, before the show was going to be, directed and episodes written and everything, or like all the scripts could have been done. Supposedly there's 100 scripts for Star Wars Underworld, which never saw production. There were production tests, but those were written a long time before they even, before like The Mandalorian came out, before Disney Plus and all those things, before the sale of Lucasfilm. So like those scripts were in the can, so to speak, or, supposedly. And there might be, anyway. So I don't know if the Ultraman Z production was similar, where they had all these episodes written already far before or far ahead of the, actual production of the television show, or I guess the actual production, that's the wrong way to say it. There's many stages to production, I'm sure. Some of it is, casting and filming. That's a part of it, but also the writing and the planning for the show matter as well. So I don't know how much Fukihara was, it's very possible that, since he's credited with the first and last episode and like the penultimate episode, maybe those were all based on his notes, kind of like how authors will have their work posthumously finished by, children or peers who they know. And anyway, I don't know what the situation was, and the show was dedicated to him. That was one of the last things on screen before the episode finished airing. And anyway, after I looked at that, I was kind of moved by that, and I thought it was pretty impressive. So I wanted to talk about it and just say, that's great. And it's astonishing that this guy's only a couple years older than me, but he had such a hand in writing a really fantastic, terrific show. Not to spoil, my thoughts on the show, but if you've been along for the ride, you've known all along that I think this is a really excellent show, and I thought for a long time it just keeps getting better and better, and that was true here. So I'm going to go ahead and after that long diversion, get into the actual body of the analysis here. And as I'm wont to do, I am going to start with the negative stuff, and one thing is a nitpick and one thing is kind of serious. So I think I'll do the nitpick first and then get on to the more serious thing. So anyway, my ultra bad things, I've got two things, the winning hand and New Year's and summer. So at the end of the episode, spoilers, Haruki is going off to be Ultraman Z out in space. And, it's my culture. What am I going to say? Anyway, so he's going off to be Ultraman Z, but he says that he will come back at New Year's and at summer. And this aired in December 19th of 2020, so New Year's was just around the corner. But it looked bright and sunny outside, so I don't know when this was supposed to be taking place, and they don't show a date or anything on the calendar. But it could be summer, it could be fall, it could be spring. It's probably not winter, since I believe it does get cold and snow, but I don't know exactly how. They're in the Northern Hemisphere, so it works the same as here in America, right? Maybe. Anyway, so that was just a little nitpick. I couldn't quite tell when, New Year's and summer were, or how far away they were from when he was saying goodbye to Yoko and the storage crew. So, like I said, that's a nitpick. I'm reaching for something negative, not because I want to be negative, just because I don't want to be overly positive and gush for no good reason. I want to kind of temper everything and have balance here. That's what I'm seeking, is balance. So anyway, my other thing that I had a bit more of a legitimate problem with, even though I liked it overall, was the winning hand, or the Haruki winning the arm wrestling match. And the reason I have a problem with it is because I don't understand how it works and how it happened. Haruki was piloting your boy King Joe, Storage Custom, and he was in the process of ripping the cockpit out of Destrudos and saving Yoko from being in there. And as a part of that, I get the scene. So basically, I'm complaining about the scene of the arm wrestling because Yoko doesn't seem to know who she is. She doesn't seem to know who Haruki is. It seems like it might kind of be reflecting their initial meeting from when they first were assigned to the same unit or whatever in storage. When they were first assigned to the same storage unit. That's funny. That is funny. I'm not gonna let go of that. That is funny. Anyway, but anyway, she didn't seem to know who he was. Then they have this interaction. Then the interaction seems to last, and it seems that both of them remember it happening, but I don't really know how it happened. Now, logistically, if he was Ultraman Z and he was in contact with the Destrudos, it would make more sense to me, but he wasn't. And I like that he wasn't because of what it builds up to, but it doesn't really make sense. I'm going to give it a pass just because of how meaningful it is and how beautiful it is. And it's the fact that he, is finally able to defeat her at arm wrestling. That wakes her up to who she really is and what's going on. And I think that helps, like waking her up to her true self helps to eject Cerebro from her mind. I believe that's how it works, but I'm not 100% sure, because after that scene happens, Cerebro comes out, he phases out of the cockpit, and then Haruki rips the cockpit out, which leads to an amazing, beautiful scene. Anyway, I should move on to the cool stuff because, well, there was so much cool to talk about. So we got Bako, Beliarok, Hebikura, and Haruki. So Bako showing up, piloting Sevenger, talking about how it's a relic or an antique, and so is he, but they can still get it done, was awesome. I absolutely loved it. I don't know if I've talked about the, I guess it's a Toby Keith song. I heard it quoted on this AM talk show years ago, but it always stuck with me. I may not be as good as I once was, but I'm as good once as I ever was. And I don't know if that's talking about something adult or if that's just talking about life in general or what it is, but I love the saying. I think it's super cool. It's kind of something I aspire to, even though I'm only 33, creeping up on 34 here. But anyway, I love Bako. Bako is so cool. He's such a neat character. And, Sevenger got thrown into a museum, or became it got decommissioned from use in storage because we had, I guess it was when Ultroid Zero popped up, but it was closer to when King Joe was made a permanent part of the roster, and they figured they could just retire Sevenger. So anyway, but it's cool. Bako, the old man, shows up. He saves the day. He brings an extra battery pack for Wyndham. The guy is just killing it. He's owning it. He is putting himself out there. He's just been such a great character throughout the show. But he gets this awesome moment where he shows up, and he's in an orange and white kind of vintagey. Maybe it's supposed to remind you of the original. I can't remember what they're called, but from the original Ultraman, the team, the Science Patrol, the SSSP, he kind of has a look like that, and he's an old dude, so it's all about the throwback and all about how how great, the elders can be and how great this different stuff is. So I just love that. This old man, like, he warned against King Joe. He would have warned against Ultroid Zero had he known it was being designed and worked on and everything. He would have warned against the D4 cannon, which I'm sure he was part of that. I can't quite remember now, but like, the guy's on top of things, and he has a wisdom, and anyway, he's just so awesome, and he gets this awesome showcase piloting Sevenger, saving the day. It was super dope. I loved it. And like, his self-deprecating humor is boss too. Love the guy. Beliarok seemingly sacrificed himself, but he didn't really, but it looked like it, and it was effective when he did, because he's like this kind of evil sword who just wants to do stuff that's interesting to him, which is, defeating or killing or destroying like more and more interesting opponents or whatever. And I loved that he seemed like he was giving up himself to destroy the D4 cannon. Yeah, it was super cool. And then the smartass comes back at the end of the episode and he's like, hey, I'm going to join you, because I think if I stick with you, I'll be able to cut more interesting stuff. And I kind of like that. Something good about that. Hebikura was awesome. I loved how he, calls himself a suspicious alien, kind of throwing it back in Gaff Lady's face. I love that he kind of forces her to draw on him. He doesn't really force her to. She did the wrong thing drawing on him and shooting, but like, he could take it. He just transformed and used his sword to deflect it. Then he knocks all of her team out, and then like grabs her. He catches her, and it's not creepy. It's not gross. It's not predatory. It's not, Me Too. But he grabs her and he like whispers something to her. He doesn't whisper. He says it quietly to her after he's caught her back in his human form. Something like with showing some attitude. He's like, hey, sorry lady, I lied about not being armed. And that was cool. And then again, he leads the attack. He pilots, he's piloting Wyndham. And then like, there's all this complicated stuff about how he was trying to it's weird. He was trying to keep Celebro and Gaff, or the humans involved in storage, like, going at this game, maybe because like it's a natural thing, like the negative arc of Ultroid Zero popping up in Celebro's extinction game. Maybe he kept that all going so that like so that it can as people mature, they go through their awkward teenage phase. I was a real jerk to a lot of people, especially my stepmom and my grandfather. And I can never make up for what I did to them or how I was unkind to them. Now, what's done is done. All I can do is be better and, try to teach my kids to be better than I was. And I was kind of disappointed that nobody told me, like, hey, don't be a jerk. Appreciate these people while you can. But anyway, but like, maybe being, like a higher being than a human, Hebikura was like, or Juggler really, like, wanted to monitor this thing and make sure things didn't get too out of hand, and like let humanity go through this process of dealing with Celebro and the threat that he offered, and the like the manipulation of fear that he had with his extinction gang, so that they can be hardened and like safe from being manipulated by that same thing, or those, this generation won't fall folly to the same thing again, hopefully. Maybe that's what he was angling for. I don't even know if that's what he was angling for, but that's what it kind of seems like. And he was really cool, and the actor has so much flair and style and charm and charisma that I loved watching him do it. And it was just super cool. He rocked. He absolutely rocked. And then the fact that he was like setting up storage to take over the base that Gaff had taken over, also that he could lure basically Ultroid Zero and Celebroid back, or really Destrudos and Celebro back for the end game fight here. That's super cool. I love that. Super clever. It doesn't feel too much like he knows too much. It feels perfect. It feels like it very much matches his character and all the crazy, 4D chess type stuff he's been doing, I guess, throughout the series, and maybe beyond, before the series started even. Who knows? Anyway, next thing I really liked, Haruki. Haruki was so cool. I guess, yeah, like, he was willing to die to transform. Like, he was willing to die trying to save mankind. He was willing to die to try to save Yoko before getting her out of the cockpit. Then when she flies out of the cockpit, he just jumps out of King Joe, and he knows he's going to be able to transform and save her like that, or he knows that he can transform at least one more time, but it might kill him, and he's willing to to face that. And it's just awesome. The guy is super dope. I love, I don't know if they added those little scenes in the beginning where like Z and he are talking in like kind of the Z world in between or whatever, but learning that his name, the Chinese characters of it basically mean like shining beyond, and Z's like, hey, that's what Ultramen are supposed to do, and they mention like, oh, are we fated to be together? It's perfect, it's beautiful, it's sweet. That's what I want out of my tokusatsu, for it to be, you know, a little opaque and a little blunt, but to have such heart and mean it, and I loved it. It meant so much to me. And the whole sequence where he goes and he saves, Yoko, and they link up to each other, and he's like, hey, I'm Ultraman, I'm going to transform, you know, I need that coin that you have, or the Ultra Metal, you know, and like, you know, come here, honey, let's, stick that thing in here, and we're going to transform and save the world. I absolutely love that. It was super cool. Again, like, it's while he's falling potentially to his death, and she is too, but both of them have, you know, the clarity and the presence of mind and the courage of it and everything, partly because it's tokusatsu, to go ahead and transform. But then, like, you know, Z pops out and he's, you know, once again chant mine it. Like, it made all the hokiness of the gimmick of the transformation device and the jingle and everything of yelling Ultraman Z. Like, it made it all so beautiful and so meaningful, and the majority of it was like an in-scene transformation like Kamen Rider typically does. Does modern Sentai do it anymore after Go Busters? I don't remember. I've been watching Super Sentai for a while, so I'm not sure. But anyway, it's good and beautiful and meaningful, and it was so cool. And like, I love how heroic the guy is, and how he was willing to put his life on the line, and that he didn't have to too. I love that. I love that there's a happy ending for the guy. Okay, so now going into the good, that was the cool stuff, the good stuff. I'll try to be real quick. I love the Defiant Soldier who doesn't want to shoot Hebikura and the other storage people who are basically unarmed and not attacking, not causing a threat. They want to have a conversation or whatever. Regardless of the fact that Hebikura was in fact armed, you can't fire on unarmed civilians like that. That's wrong. I love that the guy, you know, stood up to the lady, and then, well, you know what happened. And then, you know, Juggler's Gambit, where he assumed that he'd be able to transform quickly enough and defend himself and the others from the gunfire of Gaff if they so chose to escalate the situation. Again, it's really beautiful. It's really cool. I love it. So good. Like, so moral, and the fact that he pulled back, and like, he didn't provoke them to do it, but he was ready for, if they stepped up, that he could pull out his weapon and use it to neutralize the threat, and to do it without killing too. It was beautiful. And then, I guess I already talked about the fact that Haruki's name means Shining Beyond. Whoops, sorry. But I love that. It's really beautiful. It's really poignant for the series as a whole, and it's just good stuff. What was deep? I don't know. The fact that as storage, like, the storage crew are the last ones left to defend Earth against Destrudos, and despite all the failings of humanity, a lot of the time when a people's back is up against the wall, they come through, and the best of them shines forth, and they're able to do good, and to be good, and to be, you know, righteous and courageous and heroic. And that's what all these storage people did. Even the ground crew, like, they were a target, and, you know, Hebikura told them to flee if they wanted to, but all of them stuck by, and all of them continued to put themselves in danger, and they all chanted for Z and Haruki to get up and to keep fighting and stuff. And it's so beautiful. It's about showing the nobility of the human spirit. I think that's what a lot of Ultraman is about, or that's something that comes through in a lot of Ultraman, and it sure came through here. And like I said, I just loved it, and it was beautiful. I got a couple questions. They're kind of weak because I'm done. I'm not criticizing the series anymore. It's just good. So real quick, will Earth be safe now that Ultraman Z is leaving? And he'll come back, but still, will they be safe? Will storage be enough to handle any problems? And is Juggler a hero? I kind of touched on all those. I'd like to hear more your opinions on those. I kind of answered all those through this analysis as well. I feel kind of like with the weapons they have now, Wyndham, King Joe, and of course the classic Sevenger, humanity will be safe. The Earth will be safe. The Earth of Ultraman Z will be safe from any attacks because people have the weapons, and they have the discipline to use the weapons righteously and justly, and to not basically destroy themselves through their ignorance and fear. And that's all good. That's all great. It's all wonderful. And I mean, honestly, I know I keep saying it's beautiful and it's good and it's right, and I'm not sure what to say. Like, that's part of what I come to Tokusatsu for. That's part of why I love Tokusatsu. You know, you can have your dark and gritty stuff too if you want, but I don't really want that, and it's not what I'm into. So anyway, that's it. I really got to go. I'm out of time. So I will just wrap this up real quick and let you get out of here. But I would love to hear you answer those questions. So I rank it a 4 out of 5, really like a 4.5 out of 5. I'm not giving it a 5 out of 5 because, you know, nothing's perfect, but this is really close to it. So I'm going to update that 4.5 out of 5. So thank you for your time and attention. I hope you enjoyed this. Check out my growing collections of analysis, art, and fiction. You can also visit mjmunoz.com/support to check out my latest designs and more. I welcome critique to improve my craft, so don't hold back any comments you have for me. I leave you with peace and blessings. This is MJ, signing out.